Hello and welcome back, my friends. And we are going to go through yet another crazy ass story on Reddit. And to be honest, the very first one I did of these was about narrowly avoiding nearly two decades in prison. But if that's what a start, eh? And now we move on. And honestly, I think one thing I actually do really get a kick out of doing this is the idea that, well, sometimes this is like literally it's winning the lottery of your worst nightmares, because you're going to get something incredibly messed up, and I imagine we're probably going to be getting into that sooner or later. But well, you never know, guys. This is life is a box of chocolates and all that, and thank God I'm not hungry. So let's go. Let's continue. When my mom was pregnant with me, she and my father and all he gave up all parental rights. I've never met him or spoken to him. I've only seen a few pictures. About 2 years ago, I worked at a healthcare facility where I could float to different offices around the country, based on who needed the help. This one particular morning, I was checking the doctor's schedule and saw my father's name. He was scheduled to be in the office next door to where I was working, and thought it would be pretty crazy, but I most likely wouldn't even see him. The time of his appointment came, and he walked into my office straight up to me and says he had a doctor's appointment with Dr. X. My heart was racing because I knew it was him as soon as he walked through the door. I told him Dr. X was the office next door, and he left. A little while later, I walked over to the other office to deliver some faxes, and on my way out, he trailed behind me, and I held the door for him. He said thank you, and that was my one and only interaction with my father in my 30 years of living. Edit, y'all have been really made my day, and with all this karma and silver, thanks, kind Redditors. I mean, oh my god, like, not... I was about to say not seeing your father. No, that's not what I was... I was going to say his father not seeing him. You give up, or you what an absolute piece of work that must be. You decide you literally want to, you get divorced. You don't want to have anything to do with your kids, your flesh and blood, your legacy, your life, and 30 years just pass, and all of a sudden the only real interaction is just, it's just he seemed completely oblivious to this whole affair, and to the fact that, well, that's all that happened. Actually, to be honest, I could only I thought it was going to be something along the lines of the dad said, the dad just sort of looked at you and then passed as though we had been total strangers. Honestly, I think that whole experience must have been dreadful. I think it's dreadful for the fact that he probably had that same abandonment issue. And listen, guys, I've said on previous channels before that I had like no interest whatsoever in being a dad. Well, not any interest in being a dad. That's quite different, because I've got no real interest in actually having children. I think that's the first port of call, is because I'm not entirely convinced the idea that, well, but you know what? I'm not even going to bring that up. I want to focus on this poor guy, Twatwaffle53. If you know what, I'd like to imagine the sort of the replies and the people who have been extremely kind to him during what can only be described as a very difficult and awkward encounter must have been more than enough, because that poor guy, huh? What a piece of work his dad must have been. But I hope he's in a better place. The guy who wrote, not his dad, because honestly, screw people like that. That's what you're going to hear it from me. And with that being said, thank you guys for listening, and I'll see all of you guys again next time. God be with you all.